Hello there, I'm Gerardo Schiavone. I've been working with generative AI since 2020. Every time I sit down to work, I ask myself, there is something I'm doing by hand over and over again that can be done by a machine instead, and that's why I built this workflow. We will see a few examples done with Griptape and Nuke that goes from a simple shot list to actual video generation. So instead of writing prompt over and over again, we are going to give context and instruction to the agent that will perform the task for us. This may look complex, but the nice thing about agentic workflow is that once they are set correctly, most of the parameters does not need to be changed anymore. So you can actually have a complex workflow like this that can run in just a few simple Nuke nodes. And you can decide then which parameters are important for you to have control on the workflow. So why will we use an agent in the first place? And that's because an agent can read context and make reasoning about it and return a structured output, something that a single pipeline node simply cannot do. You can use model like ChatGPT and Gemini or some other model like Gemma or Qwen3 that can be downloaded and used locally on Griptape. These large language models, where they are used in an agent, they don't behave like a chatbot that you make question and get some answer. Instead, it behaves like a node in a workflow that is able to get independent decision. It knows a lot about everything, but to be useful, you need to have a specific context. To make an example here, you can imagine the most intelligent employee that is just being hired in a company. And the first day, you are gonna teach something to this employee, especially about the context of the project and about the company, maybe the rules and the role that this employee is going to have in the company. So if you just say to him, sit at that desk and start working, he's probably not being able to do his job. So what you do, you give instruction to him, and you will probably give him a specific role, and you give a brief for the project to him to work, and tasks and all the relevant data that can be useful for him to work at the project. And this information, they work like a guardrail to make the agent perform in a way that is much more predictable compared to a chatbot. So all of this, you can find it as an input in the agent node in Griptape. You have the rule set, that is basically the list of rules that the agent will follow for every generation. Then you have an additional context that is kind of like a brief of the project. You can add any additional relevant information for the project or for the task to perform. Then you have data. You can input some other data like web pages or any additional data that you may have created in a workflow. You can also connect another agent to make a chain of reasoning. And then of course you have the prompt, the task that the agent is going to perform. For example, in my workflow here I have a chain of reasoning that is made by those three agents. Agent 1, that is the director of photography, who is reasoning about all the camera information and the cinematography. Then all the relevant data can be accessed by the second agent that is reasoning about layout and composition. Basically, is having a good understanding of motion and position of the element in the scene. And then finally we have the third agent that is going to write the actual prompt at the end, that is based on all the data coming from the other agent, as well as many other information coming from other part of the workflow, like some general understanding of location, look development of the character, and also some reference prompt that has been selected to have consistency in style. And all these three agents, they are working in a single loop that runs for each shot in the shot list. And so every agent can use all these context window to focus only on one single task at a time and only on one single shot at a time. So we have the shot list, and for every shot we have the context that will be processed by our agentic loop, and the first output will be a prompt list that will be used for the batch image generation. And then for our video generation, we're going to use a similar list, but this time, since we already have all the visual information that has been generated already in the reference frame, now the important part is to focus mainly on the motion information. And so we take this information from the agent 2, that is basically the layout artist here. And as you can see, we have foreground information, middle ground and background actions, as well as a very detailed sequence of events that are only relevant for the video generation. Here it is the shot list. As you can see, the description of every shot is not more than just a single line, and that's because all the other information are being already fed to the other agent, and this will make our setup very easy to iterate. Then this is converted in JSON, and this is very useful because JSON is a structured data and is organized in hierarchies. So one side of this is used as a guardrail for our agent, and at the same time it's bringing this structure to guide the pipeline nodes. And that will make sure we will have our hundred of images very well organized after image generation process. So here it is where our loop starts with our agents, and then here there are the model that I used. I used some local model like Gemma 4 and other LLM that run locally, and then Qwen3 as a visual language model. Then NanoBanana and Veo for image and video generation. Regarding Qwen3-VL, this is a visual language model that I use to automate a quality check for image generation. So the model can visualize this image converted in text, and then there is basically an agent that I call Bob that is comparing the two texts, the original prompt, compared with the text generated by the visual language model, and it will understand the difference, so it will run different iterations until the prompt match perfectly with the image generated. Then we have of course our 100 of generation of first frame and image reference, and we are going to have a manual selection of the image that we like to have for our storyboard and for our video generation. The approach with the cinematography agent was something like, you know what's happening in the context, in the scene, and you can now place camera everywhere, like GoPros attached to vehicle, FPV drones flying around, passing close to subjects, and handheld camera from the boats and so on. Since in some shot the camera position wasn't specified, in that case the agent took autonomous decision. In this one, for example, the camera has been attached under the helicopter, and like in this one there is this POV that looks like a camera that is attached on a vest, and these were independent decisions that the agent made because it wasn't specified in the shot list at the beginning. So if you want to approach agentic workflow, my advice is to try Griptape with a single agent that automates a simple process of your workflow that you must have done by hand. Doing that, we will also understand the limitation of agentic workflow, so you can have a very clear idea of which projects can save you a lot of times compared to when it's just easier to use the standard pipeline. Thank you for watching and enjoy workflow automation.